I'm Luke Story. For the past 22 years, I've been relentlessly committed to my deepest passion, designing the ultimate lifestyle based on the most powerful principles of spirituality, health, psychology, and personal development. The Lifestylist Podcast is a show dedicated to sharing my discoveries and the experts behind them with you. David Reid, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks, Luke. Nice to be here, brother.
So, interesting way that we met here today. This happened much more suddenly than is typical with my guest bookings. Our mutual friend, Gabriella, out in the Bay Area, sent me a text, and she never does this, which is what got my attention. I mean, we text about random stuff, but she's never like, hey, you should have this person on your podcast. Because there's too many amazing people in the world with the time allotted that I have. So I always have a list of like 100 people that I'm chasing after, so I don't generally take inquiries, just because I selfishly want the people that I want already. But she sent me your media kit for your product here, Manna, and your personal media kit. And she's like, dude's next level, just trust me. And I was like, okay, I read the PDFs and I was like, I got to interview this guy. He sounds too interesting. We sound too aligned. So I'm really happy that you're able to make the time.
Thank you. Yeah, it's lovely to be here and I can feel your energy as well. So I'm looking forward to sharing and seeing where it takes us.
Right on, dude. Right on. So judging by your accent, are you from Kentucky, Alabama? Just kidding. He's an Aussie if you guys didn't guess. So tell me about your decade of experience working with top 20 international medical device companies. Like, I think it's interesting because your product, Manna, is very much of the earth, right? It's a very earthy product. And I can't wait to talk about it because I'm like super high on this and not like intoxicated, but it is a really great product. But it's interesting that you came out of more of a medical tech world as the CEO of this company that's making this very earth-based product. So what was that journey like?
Originally, I was actually an aircraft engineer in the military, in the Navy.
Really?
And then I got out of that, got into medical devices for an American company actually called Stryker, where I was selling digital operating theatres. So selling them to the hospital, then managing the installation process, then doing the in-services when they actually went live, so teaching the surgeons and nursing staff how to use them. But to be honest with you, Luke, it feels like another lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I'm very blessed that I had that opportunity in that corporate world because it taught me a lot of skills that I utilize now. After a decade of doing that, I just realized I wasn't happy and wanted to do something else.
Wow, good for you, man. See, when I read that, I was thinking, ooh, maybe it was some cutting edge biohacking technologies kind of stuff. So you're talking about like Western medicine, hospital technologies. And,
Totally.
God bless them. If you need a surgery, it's probably a good place to go do it.
Totally. And I was in sales and marketing. So
Okay.
as I said, it was great to get that corporate exposure.
Yeah.
I'm glad I ticked that box. And I'm glad I got out of it as well.
Yeah, right on, man. We could cover in greater detail later because I want to pick apart some of the ingredients in Manna. And normally if someone has a product with them when they come, I may or may not even talk about it. It's got to be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But I actually had some of this when you brought it over and it was very impressive. So how did that come to be? And then we'll jump back to some of the backstory.
That's a big story. I mean, the two active ingredients in there is hypertonic ocean plasma from the Dead Sea, and also the other 50% of it we collect off Tasmania in Australia, between Tasmania and Antarctica, where the water's very pure, and that goes through a 3-year solar evaporation process to readjust the mineral content.
3 years?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I call
Talk about supply chain issues. I don't know if you guys have that in Australia, but it's a thing here.
But at least it's sustainable, right? Because the ocean's pretty big.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's half of the active ingredient is the ocean plasma, which we put that through a proprietary vortex device that turns that plasma white and produces a precipitate, which is what the ancients used to call manna, or the Egyptians used to call mufkat. We can talk more about that later if you like.
Cool.
The other half of the ingredients is shilajit. And again, shilajit's really exploded on the planet probably over the last 3 years. There's lots of different types of shilajit. Once I found out how powerful it was and the impacts that it can have on the mind and the body, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I set myself a goal to find the best shilajit on the planet. So we get our shilajit from above 16,000 feet.
Wow.
And the benefits of that is the nutritional concentration. When you do the lab tests, it becomes very apparent.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you'd never produced any kind of supplement before?
No, and I didn't have the intention to as well.
Huh.
Yeah, it was just something that organically unfolded from the journey that I was on.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That's always the best way, isn't it? I never
Totally.
intended to have a podcast. I just listened to them and one day just put a mic on and it happened.
Yeah. And to be honest, I'm just a steward for the commodities. It's really just the elements that produce these. And I'm just sharing those with whoever wants to tap into those elements and connection.
Awesome. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you shared them with me today. I'm stoked. What about frequency resonance devices? Are you into this stuff?
Sure.
The realm of the Tesla coils and magnetics and all of this stuff. What's your relationship to that world?
Well, I see us as frequency resonant devices, actually the most advanced ones in the universe. And everything external is just an expression of wherever humanity's consciousness is at the time. So everything's a frequency resonant device.
Have you played around with any of these things? Do you have any that you can name that have been impressive to you?
Yeah, so I'm the Australian emissary for the Resonant Science Foundation. I spent December 2012 with Nassim Haramein, who's a theoretical physicist
Oh, yeah.
in Kauai. He has a device called the Sphere Flux Resonator, or some people just know it as the resonator. And so I actually slept in the room next to that device for a month. From
Really?
December 2012. Absolutely.
While it was running?
No, it was turned off. He only ever turned it on once. I don't know if I can say what happened here.
Oh, man, come on.
But it's been 20 years of understanding frequency technology before he feels comfortable turning that on again. And he's actually built a second generation resonator now.
Wow.
Yes, but the one that was turned off still was very active. I'll just say
that's
that.
so interesting. I love this kind of stuff. In fact, he's been someone I've been in talks with for, I don't know, probably 3 years to interview. And he's not the kind of guy you interview on Zoom, you know what I mean? And I think he's still in California. There was talk of him moving somewhere. So I wanted to go to his lab and like get a video crew and show some of the things that he's working on. He's a fascinating guy. I've only met him once in person, but that must have been an interesting experience.
He's amazing. Yeah, I see him as a theoretical physicist / mystic, and he probably understands the element of space better than anybody else on the planet.
Wow.
So that was fascinating. And then I've got another business that's called magneticenergyfuture.com. So that's got 15 different magnetic devices
Really?
that are all based around free energy, generation of heat, generation of light. There's also a replicator on that website and actually how to build it. And the 15th device that's on there is a spaceship. So there's some pretty cool stuff.
What's a
on that site.
replicator?
It can replicate whatever you like.
Like the frequency signature of something?
Correct.
Okay.
So it maps out the magnetic signature of whatever you have. Let's say that's your hand. It can map out the magnetic pulse rate and the magnetic spin rate, and then the actual time that came into inception. So you can have a look at it. It's called the Pyramid Molecular Exchanger Unit.
Wow.
And it literally creates a field where the atoms and molecules get put into a neutral state. So let's say you had an injury on your hand, you could put your hand into that device and it would connect in with your high dimensional template or pristine blueprint and fix your hand. So I want to say at the moment, these 15 devices that are on the site are all theoretical.
Okay. So they're not commercially available yet?
No.
Because I'm already thinking about, all right, I got to fix this. I got to fix this.
No. And I'm not the inventor of those.
Okay.
I was on a magnetic board with 6 inventors 8 years ago. And now, again, I'm stewarding those products as well. But the inventor is here with us, and they will be built as we enter the golden age, and that'll be the future of technology. We'll move away from electricity and move towards magnetic energy.
Oh my God, please, I'm ready. You just saw me throw the power cable away from my iPad here because I don't want to be on the electric field. Who's the idiot that just decided, let's put 60 hertz running through all the walls of every building and just electrocute everyone on a slow fry for their entire life? I don't know what you guys use over there, but it's probably just as dumb. So I love hearing about technologies like this because it's like the energies and the potential that we need to sustain our life is all here already, right? It's just a matter of like how you choose to channel those energies and which frequencies you use and such, like with the free energy device. Those in control of the levers of revenue for energy have manipulated the masses into thinking that they're the only source of that energy, right? Like fossil fuels, electricity, however we generate electricity, power. Whereas I get the sense that humans have figured out how to do that before and it got destroyed and then they pretended like it never happened, that we were all cavemen before this, right? And we can
Totally.
get into some of that. Okay, and you guys, we'll link to all of this. The show notes today will be lukestory.com/read, R-E-I-D, lukestory.com/read, because I'm sure we're going to throw out a lot of stuff and I want you guys to be able to find it. So with these technologies that you're helping to steward in, is there any sort of a timeline on any of this stuff?
Well, the timeline moves. So the cycle that we've been in, I don't have any resistance to it. It's been beautiful. It's got us to this far. It's given us this amazing human experience that we've had. And now we're going through a major transition where everything's changing, whether it's our medicine, whether it's our science, whether it's our food. Actually, our human being is transforming into a brand new kind of being. So the human being itself is transcending into something else. So that's a big part of what the Manna is about as well, is actually activating the light body. So having a greater capacity of light within us so that we can go through that genetic liberation, through cellular illumination and activate the light body. And once that happens, because the inner consciousness has changed, then the outer expression changes as well, which is a really exciting message to share because we get to experience more of the truth of who we are, which is less separation and fear and more connection and love.
I really like your optimistic attitude. It's inspiring to me because there's a certain part of some people, at least for me, that it's like you want to have an awareness of what's going on in the world, right?
Yes.
Just if you're a seeker of truth, you just crave understanding. But because we live in this duality, part of what you discover is that there's some really nefarious shit going on that's been going on for a really hard time. So I'm asking myself, where's the balance of, sure, being aware of the dark side, for lack of a better term, and just kind of letting it be there and go, that's fine, but we're building this new thing, right? And just focusing all of your energy into what you want to see rather than what you don't want, right? And that's something that I grapple with a bit because there's a sort of rebellious spirit within me that's like, no, fuck those guys, we got to tear it down, but it can't be torn down. It seems to me that the way forward is more what you describe of the elevation of consciousness is going to manifest the change we want to see. And that it seems as though the smartest way to do that is for each individual to do it for themselves until you hit sort of a critical mass tipping point where there's enough awakened beings on the planet where things, as they manifest outwardly, actually become different.
Yeah.
Would you subscribe to that?
Totally. And I think one of the tricks to staying out of the fear and the separation is to understand the truth of who we are. So once we understand and experience and know that we're infinite and eternal beings, like we are the now moment itself, and that's never born or it never ends, once that's our experience of life, then there's a much deeper peace and there's a much deeper connection to everything else because you realize everything is actually emanating out of that space, emanating out of that field and returning to that field. So it's a much kinder way to interact because what's looking out of my eyes is also looking out of your eyes. It's the same thing. So what's the point in harming you or somebody else? And as we move into a more light section of the universe, everyone will get to experience that in their own way. And by just focusing on the light and allowing that to cultivate in yourself is the greatest thing that you can actually do for that field, because the field is what's manifesting everything that we see in reality.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder. It's easy to get caught up sometimes in what's wrong with the world, right?
Of course.
And to forget that. It's like innately I know that this is a temporary expression of consciousness called Luke's story in this body in this lifetime. And so I have much less attachment to preventing death. But the attachment that I find a bit more difficult is like the attachment to the wife that I love and the things that seem that I'm going to lose them when I transition out of this body. It's not so much about like, oh, I have to stay alive. It's like, no, no, but I want to keep the stuff that I have here while I'm
Yes.
alive.
Yes.
How do you reconcile within yourself that level of attachment?
Yeah, again, it's like if we understand we're infinite and eternal and that becomes our experience, the most beautiful part of that for me is we come to realize what true love is. And what true love is the fact that we get to exist, the fact that existence can take place. And that's probably the biggest thing I got from diving into theoretical physics and advanced mathematics and cosmology and studying these ancient civilizations as well, is that once we understand what it takes for us to be in this vehicle and all of the biochemical reactions that are taking place, there's like, trillions and trillions of them every second happening in harmony and resonance so that we can sit here now and have a conversation. And that's happening for every being. It's just miracle after miracle in the moment. So that when we remember that, like the deepest gratitude arises in us for whatever's taking place. And we can always know that something will be taking place because we're infinite and eternal. We don't know what that's going to be or how that's going to look like, but in the moment, we can just be thankful because it's the greatest miracle that can ever be, actually.
Yeah, all of the infinite number of processes that have to be expressed in any given moment to just make something as simple as a conversation happen. Like I don't know about the mathematics of it, like it sounds like you do, but if I just think broadly, like the odds of this happening are so small, right? Like there's so
Exactly.
many things that have to coalesce in
That's
order for
it.
this moment to happen.
That's it.
And if any one of those pieces was different, this would be different or wouldn't be.
Yeah. And to answer your question, to extend on that, like it doesn't mean that that makes it any easier if you have attachments and it changes or, death and passing and things like that. It's obviously still very sad and we'll never see those people or that being or that energy in that form ever again. But again, that just makes it so much more special when we do have those moments to be in that deep gratitude and surrender and trust.
That's a great reminder. When you speak about these things, it reminds me of experiences that I've had with plant medicines and psychedelics, where
Okay.
those have been the times where I don't theoretically understand the concepts that you're sharing. There's an inner knowing because they're experiential. And then some time goes by and those experiences are integrated, and I have perhaps a little bit more of a tangible relationship with that experience and that knowing. But then the Maya of the material world kind of comes back, and I think, I don't know, was that real? Did you arrive at this perspective? And I know that it's more than an intellectual construct because I'm looking in your eyes and I see that you're talking from somewhere, not about somewhere. There's a big distinction there, I think. How much of this perception and worldview has come to you through studying physics and mathematics and ancient civilizations? Or have you come to it through meditation or breath work or any other modalities of that nature?
I believe that we all have a divine destiny, and then there's catalysts or breadcrumbs along the way that we can either choose now or down the track. For me, a huge part of it was exposure to Nassim Haramein in November 2011. I feel like I went through an initiation process with him down in Mexico near Chichen Itza and in the cenotes near Tulum. And then the following year, I sun gazed every day for a year, weather dependent. Where I live in Australia, there's about 300 sunny days a year, so it's very generous for the elements.
Yeah.
And that probably had the biggest impact on me. So I was developing a relationship with the elements, with the space from Nassim, with light and the sun from the sun. And then the next element was water. I became very intimate with water and structured water, charged water, vortexes, which I'd learnt from Nassim as well, was like there's a fundamental pattern of creation that replicates on all scales through all things. And a beautiful way to actually experience that was with water because you can see vortexes. So I started building a whole bunch of different
Did you really?
water devices. Yeah, a couple of them are 6 foot tall.
Really?
Yeah, which was awesome because you can turn them on, you can see the vortex start, you can watch it running, you can feel the
Wow.
field. It's a great way to deepen your relationship with water. Because two main things that water loves is water loves to spin or it loves to dance, and it loves to be charged. So it loves to be near electromagnetic fields, so rare earth magnets or rotating magnetic fields.
Hey, I got something for you. Right now, I have a piece of tourmaline and a piece of shungite in my water, and my
Yes.
spring water that you guys are drinking down there. Shout out to Alive Waters. Is that a good idea or not?
Totally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Because I
totally.
just did it intuitively, and then sometimes I see it in there. I'm like, I don't even know if this is good. It just sounded like a good idea.
Well, water's alive,
Yeah, 100%.
as you know. So
Yeah, yeah.
it loves being near high frequency substances so it can charge. So like rose is the highest frequency scent, loves being near rose. Excuse me.
That's why the wife loves the rose spray. There's like a bunch of bottles of it up there. That's like her favorite thing. And she drinks it too.
Yeah, and you got the fresh roses on the table.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. And then gold is the highest frequency metal. So it loves,
Oh, wow.
loves to be around gold. And then any of the precious gems, like the crystals
Uh-huh.
and the shungite,
Wow.
loves that. So if you think of gold as a living being, which it is, then take care of it. Treat it that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Have you ever explored the work of Veda Austin? Are
Yes.
you familiar? Oh.
Yeah. I've stayed with Veda. She's
Oh,
a
you
friend
have?
of mine. Yes.
Oh my God, dude. I'll text you a podcast I did with her, probably in my top 10 of 7 years of doing this. I mean, I had an incredible experience talking to her about just the nature of consciousness of water, which I've been kind of aware of, but not to that level. The stuff that she's up to. It's just like, you can't even believe it. It's unbelievable.
She used to have a water company called Lemurian Springs. It was from a spring in New Zealand where the alkalinity was just naturally, I think it was 9.5 alkaline. And I went over there, as I said, and stayed with her. And yeah, she's doing some incredible work with imprinting water by putting it near different things. It sounds like you know all about it. So
yeah. Have you ever played with any of that stuff?
I haven't, no.
The freezing the water. I've been on Amazon probably 3 times to buy the Petri dishes to do her technique. And then I get distracted and I don't do it. Or, they don't look like the right kind. Note to self, Luke, get the goddamn Petri dishes. Because the stuff she's doing it's unreal. I mean, just for those, we'll put it in the show notes again at lukestory.com/Reid. We'll link to that episode. But one of the many experiments she did that blew my mind is she took the water, put it in the Petri dish, and then went over to the stereo and played Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin, puts the water in the freezer for 4 minutes, takes it out, and there's a freaking stairway in the water. I mean, what?
She's documented hundreds of them now. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people know Emoto's work.
Sure.
And she's really taken over from Dr. Emoto's work. That's how I see that, and taken it to a whole nother level.
Oh, way beyond. Because she's doing the hydroglyphs too, where she's actually developing an alphabet and a language of the water speaking to us.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, she calls it hydroglyphs. So she's identifying that water will use the same symbol for the same word over and over and over again. And so she's building a language, the language of water, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah. So you get like, she'll do it, 200 times, the word love, and the water will make the same symbol each time.
Wow.
And so they have their own, it has its own language. It's crazy, dude.
When I was at the Dead Sea, I slept at the bank of the Dead Sea for 88 nights.
Why 88?
It just happened that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't like some formulaic.
No, I didn't plan it.
Ancient mystery school number or something.
Yeah, didn't plan it at all.
Okay.
Actually, the reason I left that 88th night was because you get a 90-day visa, so I had to leave.
There you go.
What I was going to say about that was I was doing a lot of fasting and a lot of bathing in the Dead Sea itself, and then the hot springs and the black mud. And the message that kept coming through me was that water uses us to express itself.
Oh, shit. Right, because we're molecularly speaking, 99% water?
Correct.
What?
So water being a closer expression to God as an element, just the 4 elements. Everything is made from the 4 elements. Light, water, and minerals. Every single thing is made from those. So water is actually like the stage or the platform that light can project out from so that we can see it. And then the minerals make up all the different frequencies or songs or expressions. So if you think about it, water's in everything. There's nowhere in the universe where we can't find water. So water is using everything to express itself.
Wow.
Yeah, so we think we're so significant, and we are, because we're our own universes, but it's just a nice little twist on how important water is and how beautiful water is.
That's deep. That's deep. It's humbling too.
Yes.
Right. I mean, I think we get so myopic as a species. Our self-importance sometimes is just out of control.
It's a nice way to surrender and trust.
There's hot springs in Israel where you were in the Dead Sea?
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was at En Gedi, and then there's Qumran, which is just up the road. Not many people know about the hot springs. But
I've never heard of it. I was like, what? I got to go there.
Yeah, the locals know about it. I'm friends with the people that run the kibbutz at En Gedi, and it would get to about 7 p.m. at night, and we'd go down in an old four-wheel drive because they're quite close to the sea. Actually, some of them just run straight into the sea.
Oh, wow.
And the beautiful thing is they're all different temperatures. So you can find one that's very close to our body's temperature, let's say 38 degrees.
Like a float tank.
Like a float tank.
Whoa.
Lie there, look at the clear sky, because they have 360 sunny days a year.
Oh, man.
And here's the kicker, is the water is actually, and most people don't know this about the Dead Sea, they just think it's really strong in sodium chloride, but it's actually only 8% sodium chloride. And then it's magnesium, potassium, sulfur, calcium. So all the other macro minerals and macronutrients that our bodies are starving from because they're not in the food and the soils anymore. So you're literally lying there in a float tank.
Oh my God.
That's from the earth that has the perfect ratio of everything that's in our body. And this is what I believe the Essenes were actually talking about when they were talking about doing daily baptisms and being in altered states back when they were preparing for Joshua to come through.
Did you ever get into Greg Braden?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, I remember 20 years ago reading his book. I think it was called The Dead Sea Scrolls, or it was about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he was talking about the Essenes and stuff. I haven't heard that word in a long time. So you're 88 nights sleeping out there next to the Dead Sea. And that's really interesting about the water too, because I too just assumed because of its buoyancy that it was just super salty water. But that's interesting that it actually has the complete set of minerals. That's really trippy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know what that reminds me of? Years ago in LA, there was an Israeli family that opened up essentially a salt spa, or I think is what they called it. And so they had like a salt room, like a halotherapy or whatever they call it. But then he built these basically like indoor jacuzzi looking things that were the minerals from the Dead Sea. He like shipped over the Dead Sea minerals, and that was his float tanks. They weren't tanks, but just a float pool. And he was telling me the whole story about like why these were special. And I don't think I got it at the time. I was like, whatever, it's a bunch of salt, so it makes you buoyant. But I think he was tapped into that because he was just a regular guy. He wasn't like a health spa guy or anything. And he had, I think, arthritis, like crippling arthritis, and went to the Dead Sea and soaked for a period of time and was totally healed.
Yes.
And went like, what? And he brought that water basically to LA and opened a spot on La Brea. It didn't last, unfortunately.
Do you know if you bought it in liquid form or as a powder?
I'm assuming a powder, but I'm not certain. But it was quite nice. It's just that I remember being in the room. They didn't put chlorine in the water or anything, thankfully. Some people would do that, even though you don't need to if there's that much salt in it, I think. But they didn't get the light leaks, So there's like all these little lights from the smoke alarm and stuff. And I remember being in there like, God, you guys make it dark in here at least. But it was still nice. But anyway, I digress. So you're there for 88 days. You're soaking in these hot springs. You're doing this black mud. You're laying in the water. What was that experience like? What happened to you? How did you get the download about water expressing itself through life and through biology and all that?
Yeah, it was a very powerful location where I was. And when I say I slept by the Dead Sea, there was actually an old abandoned lifeguard hut, this beautiful timber cabin that was just sitting there. And accommodation in the area was very expensive. And at the time I had nothing. The reason it had been abandoned was because there was all these sinkholes. So it was considered very dangerous. So everything that was around there had to move up, I want to say like 500 yards. No, I was thinking meters. So it's probably more like 1,000, 1,500 yards. It's like 500 meters. I would wake up in the morning facing Jordan and the sun would rise over those mountains. So we'd get in like a beautiful sun gaze and then go into the Dead Sea. I like to call it the Sea of Life because it's the highest resolution water on the planet. By that I mean it's got the most information in it of any water there is.
Wow.
I would come out of there and you'd have to wash it off because if you were getting there daily, it's so intense that it can burn your skin. So behind us was a freshwater spring as well. And when I say us, I was there with a friend of mine at the time. It was just the two of us. Yeah, I guess because we had nothing, we were fasting, looking at the sun, getting in this sea of life, ocean plasma. And Marty was reading a lot of like sacred text. So we were just kind of sitting in that space where we were very open. We were communing with the elements and we were there for a long time. 88 days and nights is a long time. And that's one of the things I've learnt over the last decade is when I go to some of these sites, to go there for an undisclosed length. You know, sometimes you can go there for a day and get everything you need and you can move on. But other times you just feel like staying. And that particular experience was really interesting for me because in the last 3 days, I received more information than I had in the previous 85.
Really?
Yeah.
So had you bailed out because you wanted a cozy hotel or missed your friends back home or something, you would have likely actually missed the gold of that.
Totally.
That's interesting.
And we did get access to food and mattresses and pillows and everything like that. The Jewish community were so friendly. And as I said, there was a kibbutz about 1 kilometre away. So by the end of our time there, the timber cabin was decked out with pretty much everything you can imagine.
Oh, God, this makes me want to go on adventures. You know, sometimes I think, I'm 52, my adventure days are over. But then I hear a story like that. I'm like, I got to go there.
It's just one of those special places. I mean, it's right on a ley line, which runs through the Dead Sea. Big song line runs straight across right where the cabin was. A lot of the kings and pharaohs from ancient Egypt used to go to En-Gedi. Cleopatra was at En-Gedi in 35 BC and demanded from Mark Antony, who she was with at the time, to trade with King Herod to get En-Gedi so that she actually owned En-Gedi at a particular time for the minerals. King David used to go there all the time for his water and insights, is what the Jewish say. So, yeah, it's just a testing place because it is so elemental, but it's also, there's just something very magical there from exposing the elements and I guess allowing us to really bathe in that truth of who we are, which we touched on before. Yeah, that infinite eternal nature.
Do you perceive, based on you studying these ancient civilizations, do you perceive that places like, you know, the pyramids in Egypt or the Dead Sea were at some point tropical and lush and not barren deserts?
Totally. Yeah.
Does that seem
totally?
to make
I mean,
sense
the greatest
to you?
example is in the center of Australia, Uluru, which is, you know, so far from the ocean. It's like being in Denver in the US because Australia's as big as the US. Not many people realize that.
Really?
So it'd be like, yeah.
Wow.
So it'd be like Uluru is like where Denver would be, but there's nothing else between LA and New York. And they've found opalized cockle shells at Uluru, which means that was underwater, seawater. So it'd be like Denver being underwater. So we've had many cycles on this planet. I mean, another example actually is from Byron Bay in Australia, all the way out to Uluru, used to be a forest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of the coal is. The coal is a broken down biological material. So at some point, yeah, in some cycle.
So interesting. You know, again, like going back to the timelessness of infinite eternity, right? It's so interesting to think of the false sense of security that we have and how, going back to those attachments, right? How we get attached to this body and this is the way the world is and this is how the geography is and the seas are here and there and these people are from there and those people are from there. And it's like, who knows how many times this planet has been essentially a different planet.
Totally.
Right? And then these cataclysmic events take place and the whole thing just boils over. That's why I kind of sometimes, you know, lovingly get a kick out of people that are very well-intentioned wanting to save the planet. There's a great George Carlin skit about this, and it's like, in the skit, I don't know if you've seen it, but he's like, the planet's fine. You people now might be fucked, but the planet's not going anywhere, right? Because the planet will just recycle itself, and there'll be lava and volcanoes and great floods and asteroids and whatever, and it just like morphs into something different over billions of years, you know?
Totally.
It's really interesting to
Water
think
will
about
use
that.
something else to express itself.
Right, right. Don't let me forget to go back to sun gazing because that's one of my favorite practices too. It sounds like you've taken it to another level that I would like to learn about. With water, have you geeked out on this concept of primary water?
What?
Meaning water that is actually produced by the inner earth that's outside of the hydrological cycle that we're taught in school?
Yes.
Tell us what you know about that. I find this concept fascinating, and also just a part of me I just know that it's true. If you go to Colorado and go 10,000 feet up the top of a mountain, that's not water that's gone through that cycle. It's like levitational water that I really believe is coming from, it's made by the earth. And then if you think about the official narrative of how the oceans came to be, it's like, oh, water floated from outer space and landed on the surface of the planet and just somehow magically stuck here. That's just never sounded logical to me. So it seems like I'm going into your water as expressing itself through matter, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the earth itself is just a massive water generator.
Beautiful.
What what have you learned about that, or what's your take on that?
I've never actually thought of the earth as being a water generator, but yeah, it is. I agree with
Because
you.
it's okay. So let's just say the theory of primary water is right, and whatever 10,000 feet beneath the surface, there's some mechanism of energy that puts different molecules together and creates water, right? And then eventually it comes up and springs forth through a spring. And then that goes down into brooks, streams, creeks,
Mhm.
rivers, into the ocean, then precipitates and goes up into clouds and becomes snow and rain and then drips down the mountain, right? And that's the classical hydrological cycle. But where did it all come from in the first place, right? And why does more of it keep coming? Like we were talking about Shasta. If you go to the headwaters of the Sacramento River in Lake Shasta, it's a massive geyser of water that's been going that way, producing that water out of somewhere for all of recorded history.
Mm.
Right? There's no time when we know that that was not happening. And someone who's very logical and linear would say, oh, that's just all the snow runoff from that big mountain that seeped down into the aquifer and it's just coming back out. And I'm like,
Mm.
then why does it have the same volume of water coming out, whether it's snow melt time or not, right? It's not like there's less water at the end of the summer toward fall when like it would have all drained out. You know what I mean? I mean, I think about things in a very Flintstonian, simplistic way, granted. So for any, deep intellectuals listening, just bear with me. But I'm just talking like gut, common sense, just like let's forget all we've been taught and just be innocent children and be teachable and curious. But that's what seems to be happening to me if I just, take everything I know out of it and just my gut says the planet is a giant water generator.
I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, does that make
Yeah,
sense?
totally. And the bottom of the Dead Sea, what I was shown is it's connected to inner Earth. So that's another example of,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Did that come to you in some sort of just an inner knowing in a meditation or something?
yes.
I knew we were going to get along. Gabriella was right. Not that you just get along with people that agree with you, but it's nice to have your intuition validated and
Well,
your experience in some
Yeah,
cases.
and the other way to think of it too, right, is water is recognized by science as H2O, and the Earth is a generator of H2O as well, because everything's in the
Right.
field, it's manifesting out of the field and returning back to the field, and so we're generators. The Earth is a generator. The sun is a generator. The galaxy's a generator. Atoms are little generators. They're little energy centers. So it makes sense that the Earth would generate water from within.
Dig it. All right,
Yeah.
so sun gazing. This is something I heard about, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, and it just made sense to me. And then I interviewed people like Dr. Jack Kruse and different people that kind of explained the circadian biology side of it, and how so much of your hormones and neurotransmitters are regulated by your exposure to different spectrum of light. So the red light present at dusk and dawn, and kind of the scientific validation of it is interesting also. And the history of it, right?
Mhm.
There's been sun worshiping cultures throughout recorded history. But I have never been able to find a definitive practice for it. And so when I talk about it, because I do it just about every morning, we don't get sun as many days as you do probably, but out that window right now, you can see the sunrise depending on the year. I can't see the sun set from here, but I can get that sunrise. So I always leave the curtains open so the light wakes me up so that I make it in time to see the little gold ball come up.
Beautiful.
But I always give the caveat, go study with someone before you just randomly start to sun gaze, because you could hurt your eyes if you're doing it, when you get too much UV too late. So did you study with someone or did you just wing it and figure it out? Like, what was the practice that you applied?
Yeah, so I listened to a YouTube. That was my introduction. A friend sent me a YouTube by a gentleman called HRM.
HRM.
HRM, yeah. Hiro Haram Matic, something like that. But HRM sun gazing, you'll find it online.
Oh, cool.
And he's got a beautiful teaching of what happens through the different stages. But basically, it was you start at 10 seconds and you only add 10 seconds a day, every day for 9 months. And that gets you up to...
Oh, man, really?
That gets you up to 45 minutes.
I definitely did it wrong, if that's the right way.
Yeah. And you only do it in the first hour of the day or the last hour of the day. And the reason for that is there's no UV rays that can damage the eyes.
Yeah.
So you can actually damage your eyes if you do it in the middle of the day. So yeah, that's a really good practice because it's very kind on the body. And your eyes will also let you know if you're going too far too quick. Like, if you're at 1 minute and you wanted to try going straight to 20, you mightn't be conditioned for it, so you'd know. But it's the most beautiful process and practice that I've ever done. It's amazing because it's just so easy to do. It's free. It's so kind on the body. And most importantly, it's so healing and removes those layers of fear and separation that are so apparent in our genetics and in our conditioning.
That's so interesting because I know that it's been couched more as a spiritual practice historically.
Yes.
But I think because I came in it through the promise of the health benefits, that I sort of discounted the spiritual element of it. Now that you're framing it that way, I'm like, oh, I kind of forgot about that part. Or I don't know that I ever paid that much attention. To me, I just know if I wake up in time to sun gaze, especially if I get a good sunrise and there's not a lot of cloud cover and I get that red light, invariably I will have tons of energy that day and be in a great mood. So for me, it's more of like a biological practice. But I really am excited to take it deeper and actually, connect with it in a different way.
It's very important, especially, it's always been very important because it's the source of who we are. It's literally the Son of God, and it's the source of all life within this solar system. And everything else within this solar system is following the sun, spiraling behind it in a vortexual movement through the galaxy. And the sun's putting out a huge golden shower that's protecting our planet as we move into this stage of more light, actually. So getting that light in through our eyes has certain receptors that will turn on and other ones will turn off. And then there's other things we can do, like get some of the density out of our diet is another big one. It's really important at the moment as well because the sun gives out neutrinos, which is really what nutrients are. So as we're coming into the activation of our light bodies, if we can get those neutrinos and light, then when the more advanced energy comes out from the sun, we'll be prepared for it. Because if we're not, it can be harmful.
I was thinking about the 10-second thing and thinking, God, Luke, you really screwed that up. I've only ever sun gazed probably in the first 20 minutes when the sun comes up.
Perfect.
But I have used that that feels a little bright. Then all I do is just lower or raise my gaze a few degrees so that the light's still in my eyes, but I'm not actually looking directly at it. So if I have a clean horizon, say in the desert where there's no obstruction from a mountain or something, then I'll look directly at it for the first, a couple minutes maybe. And then as it starts to get a little more intense, I'll just lower my gaze and just keep lowering my gaze, but I actually stay there still exposed to the light.
Perfect.
Just not looking at it. I'm not blind yet, but it is something that, as I said, I do want to just caveat for people, because if you just say, oh yeah, sun gazing is great for you, then someone could go out at noon and start staring at the sun and get themselves in trouble.
Yes.
But like you said, the first hour, no UV. So if you kind of get the guy on YouTube, and we'll put that in the show notes, that's really good information. And the spiritual part of it too. Wow, that's really, I don't know how I missed that. So thank you for bringing that in.
Welcome.
I can tell, even though you're the CEO of a company, if I didn't mention it, you probably never would, because you're not a salesy kind of guy, which is great. But also when someone makes something really cool, I want to share it. And so when I got your PDF deck of this company, Manna, from Gabrielle, shout out to Gabrielle. Thanks for the intro there to you and this stuff. Originally, I thought it was this other like green powder, which was really nice. Someone sent it to me. I think it was called Manna. This a few years back, and it was a really high quality, spirulina and all the things. It was nice, but not terribly unique.
Mhm.
So I thought at first it was that, but then when I read the deck, I was like, oh, Shilajit, Bing got my attention. Ormus, Bing, plasma sea minerals, Bing, like all the stuff that I really like and am into, elemental nutrition.
Yes.
So I want to dive a little bit deeper into each of the ingredients. It sounds like you've gone to the ends of the earth to source things. And also, to be fair and realistic, I did take all kinds of different nootropics and a very small amount of LSD today. And so I might have been feeling great already. Who knows? I had a lot of liver for lunch. So, a lot of nutritional density today. But when you guys showed up and I poured this in a glass of water and just chugged it back, I mean, it was very apparent that there was a lot of energy in this. So I want to share it with the audience. So those guys that are watching on video, also it has really beautiful packaging, and being an aesthetically driven person, I was like, oh yeah, this is legit. So the way it works is it comes in this little packet, and on this side it's kind of a soft little pillow, and then this side is more of a firm kind of a cardboard. And so all you do is you just basically take this and you just twist it in half and squeeze it, and it just drips out into your water or whatever drink, and you stir it up. So super easy to take. And as someone who's been using Shilajit for many years, that stuff's not easy to work with. And it's also difficult to source because it can be prone to heavy metals and yeast and mold and all kinds of funky stuff, as I'm sure you've known from your research. So let's learn a little bit more about this.
Sure. So why Manna excites me so much is I look at nutrition now as like, what's the first principles of nutrition? What's the closest thing to that field? And to me, that's the atom. So what product is going to have all of those different atomic structures in it? What we've done with the Manna is we've got the most concentrated ocean plasma we can get, which was from the Dead Sea. And then we've got the most concentrated plant-based supplement that we can get, which is Shilajit from above 16,000 feet. So one's black. When we're finished with the Dead Sea ocean plasma, it turns white because we put it through a vortex device with a rotating magnetic field. So it forms a precipitate. And then we put those two together. And when we test them in laboratory, kind of where one's not so high, the other one makes up for it. So we kind of see it as like the black and white keys on a piano.
Right.
It's like, if you're playing a song with 20 keys on a piano, you're only going to get so much of a song. But if you have the whole keyboard, then you can play all of those different notes.
88 keys on the piano, 88 days sleeping next to the Dead Sea.
and 88 different minerals
in
the product.
That's right.
In the Shilajit, 108 in the ocean plasma. So,
wow.
So yeah, the reason I'm so passionate about having that first principles of nutrition in the product is that's no longer in our food and our soils anymore. So the US Department of Agriculture has found that over the last 100 years, 80% of the minerals that were in the soil are now taken out from commercial farming. So it doesn't matter what food we eat. It doesn't matter what we take. If we don't actually
the kale smoothie ain't going to do it.
If we don't have those building blocks, then we're going to be deficient somewhere. And it's not even necessarily that our body needs access to all of those different 108 nutrients, but at least if it's got access to them, it can choose which one it wants and it can just get rid of the rest. So it's honoring our body as the most advanced technology in the universe, that if we give it access to everything, it can pick and choose what it needs and function in an optimal state.
And then what about the Ormus element? I saw on the ingredient deck on that PDF, Ormus, and this is something I heard about many years ago, and I've always, I don't know if suspicious is the right word, but it's kind of like with quantum energy, right? Like I work with a lot of quantum energy stuff, and I believe in the things that I'm using and promoting and guys I have on the show and stuff, but there's also a mass market of like quantum energy stuff that is total bullshit. And I've always had a sense that since Ormus is seemingly hard to prove, that you could just say anything has Ormus because it's like invisible or just a white powder or whatever. So what is Ormus? My understanding is that it is elements that are outside of the periodic table, like
Exactly.
subatomic elements or something. Could you break down what Ormus is and how one can discern when something actually has Ormus in it or not?
Absolutely. So, I mean, Ormus is actually in everything.
Okay.
Ormus means rearranged monoatomic elements. Okay, so
Okay.
orbitally rearranged monoatomic elements. It's only a word that's been around for 30 years, made by a gentleman called David Hudson. So the original word for it was really in Egypt was mufkat, or in the Hebrew language was manna. There's three main ways to produce it. One is from seawater, the other is from dead seawater, and those two sources are very different. And the third way is from precious metals. So when I was in Egypt in 2014, the guardian of the Sphinx gave me a document of those three ways. I didn't know what Ormus was at the time, or mufkat. So he gave me a document which showed three different ways to produce those. And when I got back to the house that I was staying in
Why did he give that to you?
I'm not sure. I mean, we just ended up, I wasn't planning to go to Egypt. I was with three other people, and it was like the 8th of November 2014. And one of the guys, we were trying to decide where to go, what to do. And one of the guys said, on my vision board, I've got Egypt 3 times. So I said, let's have a look at flights. And there was a half price flight to go on November 11. So we went over there, arrived 11:11, and we literally had no plan, didn't know where we were going to stay.
How old are you at the time?
I'm 46 now, so I would have been, let's say, 37.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Those kind of plans where you have no plans work really well when you're young. That would be terrifying to me at this point in my life.
Yeah.
I want to know what seat on the plane. I need leg room. Like, it has to be a nice Uber. You know, I'm very high maintenance now. I can't travel just, we'll see what happens, you know. Anyway, carry on.
That was the experience in getting to Egypt. And then when we got there, we didn't have any plans. So just organically ended up spending a lot of time with this gentleman. His name was Goda, Goda. He actually left his body about 2 years ago. But yeah, we just became friends, and he was taking me upstairs and we were doing tea readings. And then he actually took me underneath the Sphinx. His hotel and the building, the whole block that he owned, was the closest building to the Sphinx. And that guardianship had been in his family for thousands of years.
Wow.
I don't know the answer to why he gave it to me, but...
And so essentially this was the formula of the 3 ways to extract what we now call Ormus.
Correct.
From these raw elements.
Exactly.
Wow. That's, I mean, talk about fate, right?
Totally.
I love stories like that because even a skeptic can't be like, oh, it's just random. You know what I mean? It's like you were supposed to be there. You got there on a certain date. You met that guy. I mean, there's so many things, like we were talking about earlier, have to align to facilitate that result, that it's just, you have to live in the mystery to understand how that works, and also have the wherewithal to follow it, right? Like, he could have handed you that document, like, whatever, some old crusty document, and not seen the value in it, or not had your curiosity piqued enough to actually go, well, they gave it to me, maybe there's a reason, let me explore that reason, and now, you know, I just had a drink of it.
And that's how I could tell there was something in it for me, is when I got back to my place at Byron Bay and turned the place into a lab in that first month, and had produced the manna from the 3 different ways that were on the piece of paper.
And it worked?
Yeah, it worked. Produced them all the 3 different ways and started sharing it with people. And they were coming back to me with really crazy experiences. And I stopped and I thought, I got to find out more about this. So
crazy, scary experiences? Were there?
No, they were good experiences, but experiences that were, you know, psychological for people. And so I felt a responsibility to, one, learn more about what I was doing. I wanted to know if there was ways I could do it better, and find out if there was someone I could spend some time with that knew how to make it as well, to see if there was anything else that I could improve on. Basically, that's just the way my brain works. So I seeked out a gentleman called Barry Carter, and he was known as the librarian on the planet for Ormus for like 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. And he lived in Baker City, Oregon.
Huh.
So I went and stayed with him for a week. And
he just allowed you to come apprentice with him and just learn?
Yeah, I just contacted him and said, can I come and stay with you? This is the situation. And he said, okay. And I don't think he had had anybody stay with him for a long time, by the situation that I kind of arrived to. And It was a beautiful experience for a week. He really opened up to me, and by the end of that period, at the end of the week, he actually gave me 1.4 terabytes of information, which was his life's work on Ormus. And this was,
What?
yeah, this was back in 2015. So 1.4 terabytes of information back then was a lot. I still haven't gone through it all.
Oh my God. And I'm assuming these terabytes are largely comprised of written documents.
There's a lot of presentations and
Oh, presentations. Okay.
videos on there as well.
Oh, okay, got it. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm thinking just a bunch of ancient scrolls. I'm like, that's a lot of goddamn Word documents, man.
No.
They're like a couple kilobytes each.
Yeah, no, but there is a lot of information in there.
So he had just compiled all of this research and basically handed it off to you in multiple formats.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, he had like different chat groups online and on Facebook and stuff like that. So he'd just been attracting a lot of information, just compiling
Got
it.
it.
So I stayed with him for a week. Didn't have any plans to do anything after that. I know a bunch of these underground alchemists and different science labs. And he said, why don't you reach out to a few of these people and go and visit them, to learn more about it. So I bought an old F-150 truck and...
you would have fit in great here in Texas. Every other car is one of those.
Yeah, we didn't actually make it to Texas. This is my first time, but mainly stayed over on the west side.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an amazing experience because we spent the next 3 months driving around visiting a whole bunch of alchemists and underground labs. And the exchange was that if you'd let me stay with you and show me what you're doing, then I'll give you this 1.4 terabytes of information. And
wow.
And Barry had given me the okay to do that. So
that's so cool.
It was cool, yeah. And then
and at this time you weren't like, ooh, I'm going to make an Ormus product. You just are experimenting and wanting to learn about how to do it and what its benefits are and such.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I was still seeking at the time, and I was pretty curious to find out more about it because it was talked a lot of like this elixir of life or fountain of youth, and when you take it, you become one with the gods, and the kings and high priestess in the past were using it, and potentially it had these kind of qualities. So at the time, I was fascinated to find out more.
What about monoatomic gold? Is that something you've researched at all?
Absolutely. So right now, actually, in the high Himalayan mountains, we have monks producing liquid monoatomic gold for us from 24 karat gold through a two-stage process. Yeah, so we have actually got a suite of products coming through Manna that will be a liquid replacement for food with the intention of genetic liberation and activating the light body.
Wow. Yeah, every once in a while I'll run into an alchemist type person and they'll have some little vial of what they call monoatomic gold. I've never really known what it is, but it's just interesting to me. I think I only had it once. Interesting time now that I think about it. I was in a small group mushroom journey, and one of the co-facilitators had mentioned that they had this monoatomic gold, and it just stuck in my head for some reason. And then at a certain point, maybe 3 or 4 hours into the journey, I was looking at my relationship to currency and just money and how all of that works and how to have a healthy relationship with it. And I was in the middle of that thing, and the thought came to me, you need some of that gold. This is part of this riddle. And I got up and was like, give me some of that gold. And she came over and gave it to me in the middle of the journey. I think that's the only time I remember actually having it. Yeah, it's funny.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just, why did that pop into my head? Why did I remember that? I'm in the middle of this really deep, profound experience, healing all kinds of things, doing all kinds of things. And then when it got to that topic, it was like, ding, I need that gold stuff. And I don't know what it did or how it contributed. But, again, I don't live in a world where there are accidents. So, perhaps it did have some sort of resonance in that moment.
Yeah. Well, gold is a carrier of light. It's the highest frequency precious metal. And when we put it through an alchemical process and it loses its metallic form, it turns into a white powder or a red/yellow liquid, then once we consume that, again, it can activate certain things and turn other things off. But it's all about bringing more light into the body and being able to hold more capacity and light in the vehicle.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Yeah.
So I have the vision of You get your monoatomic gold product sorted out. Start taking that prior to sun gazing or doing like the red light therapy or whatever. And I love just kind of intuitively stacking different things that seem to have synergy. Do you think there's anything to that idea?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that, I mean, this product is going to get the electrical system turned on. So there's a whole bunch of different things that it does. But really, it's getting all of those fluids. You mentioned before that we're 99% water or 99.9% water by molecular count. But none of that water inside us is fresh water. It's all salt water. So we're literally saltwater beings. So once we get that electrical system turned on, the main three fluids are the blood plasma, the interstitium, and the intercellular fluid. And they can also communicate correctly together once they have all of those electrolytes. They can communicate with the other cells inside the vessel. They can also communicate with your higher dimensional template. They can also hold more light. Right? So once we introduce the gold into that, that amplifies this product from the testing we're doing at the moment 100-fold.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, have you thought of integrating methylene blue into any of this? Do you know about methylene blue?
Oh, I just got told about it yesterday, actually. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, it's a synthetic. I believe it's the first pharmaceutical drug. I think they used it in, I don't know, the Civil War or something. Goes back a ways, but it works topically as an antiseptic, but it has a really interesting effect on the mitochondria.
Okay.
Because it allows the mitochondria to produce more ATP. I think, if I have this right, I've interviewed a bunch of super smart people about it without needing oxygen to do it.
Okay.
It's super trippy stuff. But the interesting thing about methylene blue, and your colleague, Beth McDougall,
yes,
I was listening to the podcast you sent at her clinic out in the Bay Area at Jizen
Labs.
She does methylene blue IVs.
Got it.
Which I've done a lot of. And then she combines it with red light therapy.
Awesome.
Because methylene blue has this reflective relationship with light, specifically 660 nanometer red light. And so if you think about the mitochondria really being fueled ultimately by light and producing light,
yes,
and producing exclusion zone water, I don't know where I'm going with all this, but there's some synergy with all of this, right?
Yeah, and I think where you're going with it is it comes back again, our body is actually the most advanced technology in the universe. And what I mean by that is it's actually capable of anything. So our current medicine and science, as an example, says we can't produce vitamins. We have to get them from food, but we can produce vitamins. Once our body goes through this process of genetic liberation, we can actually live off photosynthesis. So our enzymes can start photosynthesizing light and producing all of those other things that we currently need from food.
Imagine all the problems that would be solved if humankind did not have this rapacious relationship with the energy needed to consume to fuel the body.
Yes.
I think about because I find eating, I mean, I'm grateful that I have enough food to eat. There are many people that don't, so I'll add that caveat. But
yes,
I find food just so annoying. Like, honestly, just everyone, when are we going to eat? Where are we going to eat? We need groceries. We got to order food. Then we got to eat the food, cook the food, it's like everything revolves around food. It annoys the shit out of me. Now, occasionally I like a nice meal and there's a certain pleasure in, enjoying food. But I think that I'm meant for the future that you talk about, where you just go out and sunbathe with some Ormus in your bloodstream and you're good to go. But I mean, the entire world economy and all this consumption of energy and all this destruction of the planet, or at least a lot of it, is based around the need to eat food, and subjugating all of these animals. And I eat animals. I need to eat animals at this point in my body's evolution. But much of the way that we produce animal foods, as I'm sure you know, is just satanic and horrific. Add that in there and just what we do to the land to grow vegetables. Even people that are eating a vegan, plant-based diet probably don't realize how much the land is raped to produce those calories that they're consuming too.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, it's unsustainable. And secondly, it's a big part of what's holding us in separation and fear. So it's holding us in that conditioning. That cycle's ending now. We're moving into a new one.
I like the confidence with which you state that. You said that a number of times. I mean, are you sure this is going to happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you think
there's no alternative?
Do you think it will be within our lifetime where we crack the code on this photosynthesis and things like you're describing?
I do, yes. Yep. And it's even something like AGI or singularity. So AI, automated intelligence, I call it, is going to go exponential in the next 5-10 years. And that computing power will actually become fascinated in solving the human being, because the computational quality that's happening inside of us is unsolvable. So something that has such incredible computational power will become obsessed in trying to solve that. And along that journey of trying to solve an unsolvable riddle, it will solve a lot of things. So our longevity will go through the roof, disease, illness, a lot of those things that have plagued us to this point, we'll get answers to all of that. That will help us transcend into a new human species as well.
How do we circumvent the powers that be that live in a state of scarcity that currently proliferate systems of disease with the way that we produce our food and quote unquote medicine, the medical system, the financial system, all these systems that are in place, which are essentially just different forms of slavery. And
Yes.
there are entities that have wrestled kind of control of our civilization. I mean, not to get like negative or conspiratorial, but
Yes.
that's what's happening and what's been happening for a very long time. How do we circumvent the powers that be who don't want things like free energy and a body that heals itself and doesn't need food and all of these things that you describe? There
Yeah.
seems to be forces working against this with the suppression of things like free energy. I mean, there's been people that figure out how to run a car on water and then they mysteriously end up with a suicide wound to the back, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think again, it's, you know, when we understand that polarity exists, there's always going to be light and dark, and there's always going to be resistance to change. But if we can just focus on our passion and what inspires us and understand that that feeds the field, the more of us that do that, it has more impact on that field, so that that field is actually manifesting through every being. It gives them the opportunity to start feeling more connected and more love. Because every human being that I've ever met wants to love and wants to be loved. It's just a matter of how long it takes before we get through that process. For me, it's really just focusing on the light and doing the best that we can as individuals and sharing that good news.
When can we expect this monatomic gold next level product or the other products that you have coming after the Manna?
Yes, as I said, the gold is being produced for us in the Himalayas at the moment, and we'll do a production run with that. I want to say in 3 months' time, so it'll be
Oh, wow.
available in probably 6 months.
Oh,
So
cool.
it'd be nice to launch it maybe September 21, which is from Australia. That's the spring equinox.
Oh, nice.
So from an alchemy perspective, that's when nature has its most energy to express. It's just been dormant, it's been resting, it's rejuvenated, and it's got its full expression to give through the summer. So that's the date that we're looking at.
How did you source such potent shilajit, and what have you done to ensure that there's no contamination? Because I've heard wild stories about shilajit, one of which I don't know is true, but it just goes through the thought sphere of people like me that are interested in these things. But I've heard one story, for example, that one of the ways that they essentially harvest shilajit is by blowing up these mountains with dynamite because it's really high up. And you need to get it out from these rock crevices and stuff. And so you end up with like explosive debris essentially in the shilajit and all kinds of weird stuff. How did you arrive at a level of purity and potency? What was that process like? Did you have to go to the Himalayas yourself or did you make contacts? I'm just curious the way that worked.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I set myself a goal with Shilajit of finding the 20 best suppliers on the planet. So I'd been introduced to one who lives in Tibet, who has a very special Shilajit that's been passed down through generations. He only has a relatively small supply, so I had to find other suppliers. Exactly what you said, I actually went to the locations, lab
Wow.
tested a whole bunch of different ones.
Did you find any of them to contain metals or
Totally.
mold or anything? You
Yeah,
did?
totally.
Wow.
And it was funny, the ones that were at the lower altitudes were the ones with less nutrients and more heavy metals.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So as an example, most Shilajit has between, let's say, 8 and 21% fulvic acid component in it, which is one of the main active ingredients, a really special ingredient. And
Is that what gives it the nootropic effect? Well, not just nootropic, but shilajit is like a potentiator of other things. Like if you put
Yes.
shilajit in your coffee is way stronger. If
Yes.
you microdose some mushrooms with shilajit, it's too strong, which I've
It's an
learned the hard way.
amplifier.
Is that true, or is it just in my head?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some good
Is it the
clinical
fulvic
studies on
acid
that.
that's doing that, or what do you
It's a big
think?
part of it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a combination of other enzymes and different things that are in there as well. But the fulvic acid's a huge part of it, and the fulvic acid also looks out for electrolytes and trace minerals. That's why when you combine it with that hypertonic ocean plasma, it's so powerful because it's looking for those and then it transports them through the body. And the fulvic acid's also an incredible adaptogen.
Right.
So it helps with the absorption as well. So the fulvic acid that's in our shilajit is 88%, which is the highest on the planet. So
wow,
that's one of the reasons that it has such an incredible impact.
I picture it being, okay, you're up in Tibet or Nepal or wherever, right? And you're 16,000 feet up and it's just solid rock everywhere. And then I picture these little crevices in the rocks from millennia past where decomposed plant, maybe even animal matter has just degraded over time. And essentially the minerals that made those plants and animals have just been consolidated into this black tar. And it's kind of like stuck in between rocks and someone has to go get it out. Is that anything like what it's like in real life?
It's different everywhere. So shilajit comes through the Himalayas, Tibet, southern China, Mongolia, Russia, and Siberia. So there's huge mountain ranges. Everything of what I just said would be like going from LA to New York and back twice.
Wow.
So the sustainability of it's really high because that was something that I had to tap into as well.
It's going to run out.
No,
because it's in my top 10 substances like that I take.
It's not
just
gonna
about
run
every
out.
day. Okay, good.
Yeah, but one of the challenges with it, if you're getting it from those high altitudes, is it's really hard work. Like I went over to Everest in 2019 and I got such a deep appreciation for the Sherpas getting the shilajit because it's very high altitude. The tracks are terrible. It's extremely dangerous and it's heavy. To fill a sack full of shilajit is really heavy. And the other thing is you can only really get it for, depending on where you are or how high you are, you can only really get it for 4 to 8 weeks of the year, depending on the
'cause
season as well.
It's
'cause
covered
the rest
in
of the
snow?
time it's covered under snow.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah, so there's a window. So this year, as an example, we'll employ 600 people to go out and get the shilajit in July and August.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy
Local
shit.
tribe.
This is so interesting. I love this stuff. So if it's in that large swath of land in that mountain range, it begs the question, why can't it be found in the Rocky Mountains of the US or any other epic mountain ranges? Isn't that strange that it just ended up there? I wonder why.
Yeah, I think it's to do with what you said earlier. It's, this has been in the mountains. It's debatable whether it's thousands of years or millions of years. But I think it's dating back to a prehistoric time where at those altitudes, those kind of plants were producing or existing that are producing the shilajit. And now at the lower altitudes where we are, that just didn't have that plant matter.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting. I love it. I want to take some more. Is there anything else in Manna that I missed?
No, that's it. I mean,
So the ormus is really part of the sea mineral solution.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, the ormus that's in this is from the Dead Sea and from water that we collect off Tasmania. So it's a 50-50 mix
Got it.
that goes through a proprietary structuring device. But there isn't ormus made from gold in this product
Got it.
yet.
That's coming soon. And for those that are listening to this, I should have mentioned this earlier, but if you go to lukestory.com/Manna, MANNA, and use the code Luke20, you get 20% off this stuff. Not just saying this because you're here. I highly recommend you trying it out. I think like anyone that tries it is going to be like, oh shit. I mean, it's pretty impressive, dude.
Thank you.
I take a lot of supplements. I try a lot of stuff, and some of them are cool, and some of them are really impressive. This would be categorized in the really impressive category.
Thank
for
you.
me. Yeah,
And probably the
very
other thing
special.
worth mentioning on it is within the formulation, we did actually spend quite a bit of time trying to improve the taste of the shilajit.
Yeah.
And the ocean plasma as well, because it's so concentrated. So it's at 400,000 parts per million.
What?
If you go much further than that, the water solidifies. So in the bottom of our holding tank, we actually have crystals growing, like magnesium crystals, potassium crystals,
Where are
because
your operations where you manufacture?
in Australia,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Man, I'd
for
love
the
to see
ocean
that.
plasma.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
4,000 ppm, is that what you said?
400,000.
400,000?
Yeah.
I mean, like, a bottle of Mountain Valley spring water is like 320 ppm or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. What's the ppm of just the Pacific Ocean or the ocean in Australia? Do you happen to know? Just for context.
Yeah, it's 900.
400,000? That's a lot of minerals. That's crazy. But these minerals are bioavailable, I'm assuming, because they're oceanic minerals versus like drinking spring water here in Texas that's run through a bunch of limestone and is largely just like inorganic dissolved calcium that your body can't really do anything with.
100%. Yeah.
So we've got the bioavailability because we're made of salt water, but the soil that we're growing our food in has been depleted of the minerals that would have come out of the ocean when it was all covered by the ocean.
Totally.
But now the oceans have receded over time. All those minerals are concentrated in the ocean and not in the soil anymore because humans are idiots and used all the petrochemicals left over from World War II to start farming with.
That's it.
Okay.
So the ingredients that are in there, we can't get any more concentrated.
Huh.
So there's 1,000 milligrams of the ocean plasma. There's 1,000 milligrams of the shilajit, which is a really generous dose.
That's a gram,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Wow, that is a lot. That's a big chunk. Like if you have to tar.
It's like a pea-sized chunk.
Yeah. Wow.
And then because they're so concentrated, the taste is so intense. So that's what we worked on a lot, was we've added 6 other spices and ingredients in there.
Not MSG, right?
No.
Whenever I see spices on something, I'm like, I was eating some chips 2 nights ago and it was like spice extract. I'm like, gotcha. Spice extract, my ass. But
no, it's spices from the local area over there that are organic. We get them from a special
I was just messing
farm.
with you.
And actually makes it so that you can just have it with water and it tastes pleasant, which is awesome.
I'm able to eat or drink just about anything, no matter how crappy it tastes, because if it's good for me, I'll just do it. It's like medicine, you know. But this actually didn't taste bad. Shilajit's pretty gnarly. It'll like ruin your coffee, basically, you know. But I imagine if you were to just put this in any smoothie or like a nut milk or something, you probably wouldn't even notice it.
Exactly, and that's how we wanted to design it. So
Yeah.
I still wouldn't recommend taking it straight, even though a lot of people do.
Which I did.
And I do.
Of course I did. I didn't know how to work the little ampule, package, so I just ended up like kind of licking it out of there, which it still wasn't bad.
Yeah, well, it's a new kind of sachet, so people won't know how to use it. They'll have never seen it before. But on the homepage of our website, we've got a great little video which shows how to take it out of the box and squeeze it. So it's the size of a credit card. One size opens, as you showed before.
Yeah, you fold it in half and just it pops right out.
That's it.
And it seems like you're able to get all of it out too. It annoys me with packaging where it's something really valuable and there's some left when you throw it away. It's like, especially if it was an expensive supplement or something, What's your relationship with, I mentioned her earlier, but I just wanted to expand on that with Dr. Beth McDougall.
Yes.
Who seems really fascinating and someone that I definitely want to meet and maybe even interview. How did you get involved with her and what's her relationship to your company or the different projects you're working on?
Yeah, so my other business partner, Brad McDonnell, him and I went over to Sausalito back in 2018 to talk with 2 of our friends. One of those was Dr. Beth McDougall, and she decided to come on as a business partner as well.
Oh, cool.
So it's the 3 of us and her partner, Mark. Yeah, the 4 of us own the company, and she's really the spokesperson for Manna for that clinical side. She's a MD and can break down all of the clinical studies in a way that people can understand them. She adores the product. She boldly says it's the one product that she takes every day and will never not take.
Yeah, I'm getting a sense it's going to be that way for me too, to be honest. And listening to that podcast she was on, I think it was Ben Greenfield, her place, this Jaizen, sounds really awesome. This clinic she's got out there, and I think it's in Marin County or something near Sausalito. Yeah, but she was rattling off all the modalities and technologies. It's like, yes, she's doing all the cool stuff, and even a lot of things I hadn't even heard of. So I'm going to definitely do my best to get out there and meet her and see what she's up to.
From my perspective, it's the most advanced biooptimization center on the planet. And
based on that interview, they had more stuff in one place than I've ever heard of.
Correct. Yeah, so if you can, get over there, meet Dr. Beth. She's an incredible being of light, and I think you'd love her.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, well, we're going to be out there in about a month visiting my mom and going to a retreat out there. So I'm going to be about 40 minutes away from there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
Calistoga.
Yeah.
So you've traveled to these sacred sites, right? Machu Picchu, the pyramids in Egypt, et cetera, and Shasta being one of these kind of power centers that's widely known. What was your experience there? I talked about it with the incredible spring that's there, but Shasta has this really funny kind of Bigfoot alien mystique around it, where there is a pretty decent swath of subculture people that think that there's actually a civilization living inside Lake Shasta underground. And the stories get pretty crazy around that area for some reason. Did anything supernatural or interesting transpire when you were there? Or were you impressed by it in any way?
Yeah, I always say it's my second favorite place on the planet.
Really?
Yeah, and
What's first?
I know the Dead Sea.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah.
it, of course.
I know the story of the Lemurians and like the Telos beings that exist there. For me, I haven't had any of those experiences of interaction with beings, but the reason I call it my second favorite place is the water. I just love the different water expressions there, and having a conversation earlier how important water is. So you got Stewart Springs just up the road. I think that's actually
That hot spring place?
Yeah,
Epic.
yeah.
Did you go in the tubs inside?
Yes, the tub, the sauna, then the fresh water. Yeah.
Dude, when I went I was up at this farm called Belcampo up there a few years ago. And of course, everywhere I go, the first thing I do is Google, where's the hot springs?
Okay.
Number one.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute first thing. I don't Google. I hate that word. I web search it. Google's evil. Don't kick me off there, please, Google. I use your drive a lot. So I find that hot spring and I go there, and I had said something like, there was a sign on the wall that said, like, don't get a massage in this water or something like that. And I was like, oh, whatever, interesting. And so I went in, even though you're in a room by yourself, I wore shorts because I wanted to be able to go jump in the cold creek and not have to like get dressed and undressed every time. And dude, I got like these micro cuts all over my legs and stuff. I think from my shorts touching some shards of like minerals or something. Did you experience that? Like it like cut
Yes.
me up. I was like bleeding from
Yeah.
just sitting in this tub. This is the weirdest thing ever.
Oh, you hadn't gone from the tub to the sauna?
I did both, but
So what happens is when you get out of the tub,
uh-huh.
it still has all of the, because it's such a hypertonic solution.
Okay.
It's actually the closest water I've seen to the Dead Sea water.
Really?
Yeah. You know how it feels like silk? It makes your
Yeah,
skin
and it
feel
has
like
a very
silk.
strange smell.
Yeah,
It's not sulfur smell like some hot springs. It's almost like ammonia.
Yeah.
It's a very strange smell.
It's a different mineral expression.
Yeah.
And so when you get out of that water and your shorts dry,
Uh-huh.
they go like cardboard. So without you noticing it, when you're walking, salt is actually crystallized light. So there'd be sharp components
that
on that
explains it.
crystals that would have been giving you chafe.
Yeah, it was because it wasn't like, like if you took sandpaper and rubbed your arm where it just all turned generally red and was
Yes.
irritated. They were little cuts. They were actually bleeding.
Because it would have been crystals. So like the points of the crystals were probably scratching against your
Wow.
skin
Yeah,
as you were walking
incredible
from
spring.
one to the sauna.
Okay, noted. If I'm ever back there again, I won't do that. So Shasta for you, the magic of that area is really about the water. So between like the spring water around the mountain and then that hot spring.
Correct.
Wow, that's pretty impressive considering the travel you've done.
Yeah.
That it really left that impression.
Yeah. And the redwoods as well. I mean, they're an incredible being. And, once you go a little bit further north, you've got the Smith River and the Rogue River and Crater Lake. So just that whole area. But yeah, I feel Shasta and Oregon has the best water on the planet, actually, second to New Zealand. Yeah, it feels very inductive to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Very nurturing.
What about Machu Picchu? That's somewhere I've not been. Is on my kind of reserved bucket list. Not the first bucket list, but like it'd be nice, but it's not like I'm dying to get there. Did you have any interesting experiences there or anything that informed your worldview, career, projects, etc.?
I did, yeah. So Machu Picchu has 3 main mountains you can climb. And the main mountain that everyone thinks is Machu Picchu is actually Winnipichu, the picturesque one. So Machu Picchu itself is much higher and only about 20 people a day climb it because wherever you are at 2 p.m., you have to come back down because they don't want to risk people running out of light. Yeah, I climbed Machu Picchu, made it to the top, and I remember doing a meditation at the top and woke up and there was a condor in front of me. And
No way.
yeah. And condors don't usually go to those altitudes. And it was interesting because Brad, who I told you about, my business partner, he'd given me a book to read called The Celestine Prophecy, like years before, and I hadn't read it. And I felt like I wanted to read it on my way to Peru. I was trying to find the book, couldn't find it anywhere. Got to the airport, went to the bookshop. They said, no, we don't have it. They said, there's one other bookshop like miles away. So I walked over to that other bookshop to see if they had it. And it was sitting on the counter next to the register, the last one that they had. So I was actually reading the Celestine Prophecy on the plane on the way over, and it literally felt like that kind of journey as I was traveling through the Sacred Valley to get to Machu Picchu, then had the meditation. And it was quite early for me. It was 2013. So it was quite early in the journey, but it was still very beautiful. At the bottom in Machu Picchu village, there's hot springs again.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm on it.
Yeah. The amazing thing with that is you'll do these huge hikes during the day. You come down, you get in the hot springs, and then in the morning you feel like you haven't even walked. They're so rejuvenating, right? So it's a great example again of the minerals, of how rejuvenating and revitalizing they are. And then you go into that beautiful deep sleep as well.
To hike at those altitudes, did you chew on any coca leaf?
While I was hiking, I think I did. Yeah. You fly into Lima, which is the capital of Peru. When I got to Cusco, which I think is about, I can't remember if it's 5,000 feet or 5,000 meters now, but I actually had altitude sickness there for a couple of days before I started the rest of the journey. So once I got to Machu Picchu, I was acclimatized. I was okay. So yeah.
I hear that the local people there use that plant a lot to help them acclimate,
Totally.
to be able to operate. I love that. I mean, I don't use cocaine, but I love coca leaf. It's a great herb. To me, it's like a tonic herb. I chew on it every day.
Oh, awesome.
I'm not addicted though. I swear. No, I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
No, I mean it's so mild compared to the refined version of like the street drug, but it's really nice. It's almost like a mild caffeine or something. I mean, much more mild than caffeine, but it's a bit more mood elevating than caffeine. Like it just kind of brightens you up. It's really nice. Haven't had the chance to test it out like with an endurance activity like that or with altitude, but I've always thought it was interesting that the people there will make a tea out of it or they'll chew it in order to be able to hike up those mountains.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
I actually haven't tried it since then. Since
I got some in my office.
So. Awesome.
Makes a mess out of your mouth. It turns your whole mouth green. It's not pretty. So if you have a date or a photo shoot, maybe save it. Where's your favorite hot springs in the entire world?
Oregon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does it have a name or just in general?
Yeah. So once you get into is it called the Umpur Forest?
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that state. Oh, I've been to Ashland, I think it's called Ashland, Oregon, like right to a hot spring there, actually.
Jackson Springs.
Yeah.
So that's quite commercial.
Yeah. I mean, there's one better than nothing, but it's not like in nature,
Yeah, there's one up there. It's one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. There's literally half a dozen of these pools that cascade down the side of a mountain. The top one's the hottest and you can't get in it, or I couldn't get in, it was too hot. The second one, I couldn't get in, it was too hot, but you could dip your foot in it.
Yeah.
And then the third one you could get in, and then it just gets cooler as it goes down the mountain. And at the bottom was a free-flowing, like freshwater river. So you could go back and forth.
The best.
Yeah, the best.
That's literally the best thing in life. I recreated it kind of here because I have sauna and the cold plunge, and sometimes a jacuzzi when it works. But that's literally my favorite thing ever. If you're ever in Southern California, hidden gem. Well, there's two actually. They're in the middle of LA in Koreatown. There's a place called Beverly Hot Springs. And it's like a Korean spa where you go get spa treatments and massages and things like that. But the structure is built on top of a natural geothermal hot spring right in the middle of LA, like very close to downtown LA. And it's amazing, beautiful spring water, like silky, just incredible spring. But for the nature thing, there's a place called Deep Creek. And what sucks about it and what's good about it is it's really hard to get to. You kind of have to be taken there by someone who knows. And then to get there in a car, you have to go through someone's private property and you stop at this little like country ass ranch house and give the guy $5 and he lets you onto his property. And then it's about a 30-minute hike down into the Deep Creek hot springs. But it's like you describe, there's these huge boulders, and then as the water sort of cascades down the boulders, there's these different pools. and then there's a freezing ass deep pool of a creek right there
Yeah.
too. And it's just the best. It's the best. Probably, I would say that's probably my favorite hot spring, just because there's so many options and it's so
Yes.
beautiful. And because it's kind of hard to get to, if you go on the right day, there's not a lot of people there.
Beautiful.
You can't pull your car up to it or anything like that. But I only went, I think, twice because I could never figure out how to get there. So I had to wait till someone that like knew the way. But it's kind of in between LA and Las Vegas in San Bernardino County.
Okay.
Anyone that's like in that scene in Southern California, if they know about it, they'll know how to get there and where it is. So Deep Creek Hot Springs, put it on your hot spring tour list.
I will, thank you. And you guys have the most magnificent hot springs all through Oregon, California,
Yeah.
across to Colorado.
There's a lot in Colorado. That's where I first started doing it when I was a little kid in the Glenwood Springs hot springs. There's a big pool. They basically have a swimming pool. And then there's some vapor caves there right across the street that are geothermal vapor caves that are amazing. And then recently someone down the road built a proper little kind of outdoor hot spring center with different pools of different temperatures, probably from the same fountainhead.
Awesome.
Yeah, Colorado's got great springs. Yeah, it's my home state. Well, dude, I think we did it. I feel like I could just sit and shoot the shit with you forever. So I don't, in case the audience is like, okay, I think you guys covered it. I will, give them the grace of allowing them to go live their life. But I can't wait to hang out with you and your partner here more, man. You guys are just kindred spirits, man. We have so much in common. I love what you're doing in the world. You created something, as I said, that's really, really special here, which is awesome. Just when I think like, I've kind of tried everything. Everyone's invented everything cool. Supplement-wise, you guys really did something quite special. So I'm really glad to connect with you and see what you come up with next with this gold stuff. And I'm in. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, really appreciate you having us on the podcast and love everything you're doing. I can feel your heart as well. And looking forward to hanging out too, brother.
Right on. We'll do it.
Thank you.